good afternoon. This is Houndog Steve wishing you a very pleasant afternoon, and not quite sure what it's like where you are, but it is hot, hazy and humid right now. We've just had a couple of thunderstorms roll through, and you know, you get that situation where it rains and it usually cools down afterwards. Well, in this case, because we've had a few hot days preceding this, the water has just evaporated and it's just added to the heat. So it's basically like being in a steam bath right now. But what I wanted to talk to you is an article I came across the other day in The Guardian, and the headline was "Bank of England must create a recession to slow down the economy, to slow down inflation." And this is an absolutely insane idea. Inflation is caused, well, this kind of inflation is caused by the printing of money and expanding your money base. But, of course, these arrogant SOBs are blaming the consumer for fueling inflation by spending too much. But, this really is simple mathematics. Now, Canada, for example, we increased our debt load by $500 billion during the last 3 years. So we had $1 trillion worth of debt, and we added to that another $500 billion worth of debt. So we'll just bring that down in size a little bit. So we'll call $1 trillion $1,000, and of course the $500 billion $500. So you have an economy with $1,000, all worth exactly $1. Well, I say that figuratively. They're all worth $1. You add $500 to your system without backing it up some way, this is just through debt. Well, now all of a sudden every dollar that you hold is worth 66 cents. And the infuriating thing about this is because it's inverse. When people see the effect of inflation, they see prices rising in the store. But what is actually happening, of course, is that your dollar is worth less, so now you need more dollars to buy the same stuff. So this is basic math. Okay, that's what we did over the last 3 years, and now they're saying in Canada and in the UK that it is consumer-driven inflation, like an overheating economy. I am not quite sure whether it is because these people just really do not understand basic math. They've just worked on models for so long, and they've lived in an echo chamber for so long, they really seriously do not understand what is going on, or if this is a malicious act to undermine the very economy that sustains them. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, listen, I saw this video the other day on Facebook, and I re-videoed it. I think you'll like it. It seems to sum up the situation, and this could possibly be part of the reason. Yes, there is some planning involved here, but the best of plans put in the hands of fools will end up looking foolish. And these people are so filled with hubris and their own sense of self-worth and their ability and blah-de-blah-de-blah. And like I say, I'm sure in their world, because they're all stroking each other, it feels good. Yeah, everyone thinks this way. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but from my experience as a people person and basically a person who loves to communicate with others, I can assure you that you literally are the 10%. And the vast majority of us do not get it, do not want it, and we're starting to realize that this was all caused by your bad decision making. Okay, let's just go watch this video, and then I'll read 1-2 parts from The Guardian, and then I'll come back and do a quick wrap up. Okie dokie, here we go.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is from The Guardian in the UK. Bank of England must create recession to fight high inflation, Hunt advisor says, as mortgage rates rise again, as it happened. Time to recap. After a day dominated by depressingly high UK inflation, the Bank of England might need to spark a recession to finally get price rises under control, an economist who advises Chancellor Jeremy Hunt has warned, as inflation remained persistently high in May. Karen Ward, Chief Market Strategist, EMEA, at JP Morgan Asset Management. Now, how come they're advising the government, when they are directly... These people are making a fortune, by the way. As interest rates rise, these people are making a fortune. Told Radio 4's today's programme that the Bank of England must fight against a wage price spiral taking hold in the UK. Ward said the difficulty for the Bank of England, no one envies them their job at the moment, is they have to therefore create a recession, she said. They have to create uncertainty and frailty because it's only when companies feel nervous about the future that they will think, well, maybe I won't put through that price rise. Or workers, when they're a little bit less confident about their job, think, oh, I won't push my boss for that higher pay. It's that weakness in activity which eventually gets rid of inflation. Are you kidding me? Yes, this is exactly when you should be asking for higher pay, because this is this is a self-inflicted wound by the government. And companies won't feel nervous about putting through that price rise, but they will feel nervous about starting a new project or hiring more people. So no, it's going to do exactly the opposite. Ward was speaking after inflation in the UK unexpectedly remained stuck at 8.7% in May, adding to the pressure on households suffering a surge in mortgage costs. There you go, suffering a surge in mortgage costs. And here's the chart. The Office for National Statistics reported that good inflation slowed, but services inflation accelerated at a faster pace in May. Core inflation, closely watched by the Bank of England, jumped to a 31-year high. And core inflation is really important because that's your basics. That's food and fuel. Okay, so when core inflation has jumped to a 31-year high, you are in trouble. And the bank poised to hike interest rates as inflation remains unchanged at 8.7%. The money markets are now predicting that UK interest rates will have hit 6% by around the end of 2023. The bank sets UK interest rates tomorrow. A hike is nailed on, with some economists suggesting it could lift borrowing costs by 0.5% to 5%. The majority expect a smaller quarter-point increase to 4.75%. And Bank of Canada just raised rates by another 0.25% recently, by the way. Mortgage holders are being hit by higher rates. Moneyfacts reported that the average 2-year fixed-term mortgage now costs 6.5%, up from 6.07% on Tuesday. More than 1 million households across Britain are expected to lose at least 20% of their disposable incomes thanks to the surge in mortgage costs expected before the next election, the Institute for Fiscal Studies has warned. So that's exactly what I've been saying. You cut 20% out of your disposable income and you're done like a dog's dinner, my friend. So there you have it. Now, I have been hearing that the threshold for interest rates for the public is 6%, and we're getting extremely close to that figure. This is going to be so incredibly painful. It takes a little while for these sort of interest rate increases to really take a grip on an economy, because it just slows down the whole borrowing process. Suddenly you have to recalculate, your repayment if you want to start a business, though, and you need to borrow money to do that if you want to start a project. So all of those people who might be hiring suddenly go, whoa, wait a minute, I'm not certain. And when banks get shaky hands, I'll tell you, they will pull the plug as soon as look at you. I had many large contractors and developers coming in my store over the years, and that was their biggest issue, was if the banks got one whiff of a potential problem down the road, they just stopped everything dead in its tracks. Okay, so Yep, this is going to be a very difficult time to go through. It'll just ripple through the entire economy because, you know, it slows down discretionary spending. As you can see, they mentioned, I think it was 20%, was it 40%? I'm not sure now, but it's certainly going to slow down the amount of discretionary spending. And if your debt is based on 186% of your disposable income, and you've just knocked 20% off your disposable, you've now racked it up to 200% of your disposable income because you just added another 20%. So you can see how devastating this is going to be, how foolhardy, and it really is beyond me how these people can, in good conscience, behave like this. Surely there must be points in their life where they, you know, actually touch real ground and they talk to real people who really are struggling and are going to be deeply affected, and the least of whom is the government itself. You know, we are now $1.5 trillion in debt, and we are constantly borrowing to cover the deficit. Well, that borrowing is now done at a much higher cost. So the taxpayer again is getting slapped across the face with, you know, more tax increases coming down the road. And I don't care how they figure it out, whether it goes on to income tax or not, or whether it's GST, whether they hike the GST, the goods and services tax, you know, like another 2% or something, but it's going to come out of your pocket somehow. Okay, so yeah, I would start making a point of calling your politician and ask him what the hell he's doing, and maybe use this video to show him what happens when the boss hires bad people. Okie dokie, well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe below. I do read your comments, although I don't always respond because, as you can imagine, it actually takes quite a lot of time to go through every single one and respond. I try and respond to all the ones on my vlogs just because they are my core followers, but I do scroll through and see what people have said, and I'm always interested to hear your point of view. And in the meantime, this is Houndog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant afternoon, and we'll talk very, very shortly. See you now. Bye.